What's up YouTube? Today's video is going to be about why trade exactly is so bad in PoE. And this is actually probably the biggest problem in PoE, and I do think that a video addressing this might help people understand why the current trade system, in my opinion, is so bad. Now this probably doesn't apply to a lot of people since you guys play SSF or SSF Hardcore, and if you play SSF you will know that PoE is fundamentally a different game than softcore trade. And the biggest difference between it is how much time you actually get to spend playing the game. You don't have to deal with buying mapping supplies. You don't have to deal with trying to trade your items all the time. And you just end up probably increasing your split of trading or sitting your hideout to actually playing from like 50-50 or even worse to 100-0. And that's probably one of the biggest differences between SSF and playing softcore trade. And I have played SSF Hardcore a bunch in the gauntlet, so I do know what it's like to play the game in SSF versus playing it in softcore trade. Now, the main reason I like softcore trade is purely because it allows you for more build diversity. It's annoying trying to get some builds to work. For instance, last gauntlet, I tried to play Spectral Helix Champion, and the build doesn't really function that well without Omni or Perseverance. And even though Perseverance is only a 1 to 2 chaos item in softcore trade right now, it could be incredibly hard to farm it. So playing SSF means that you'll have to play for like the entire league, and then you'll have to make builds dependent on what uniques you find, which is not a bad way to play by any stretch. But for the league start, not being able to play a build I really enjoy is a big detriment to me. So basically, I came up with this video idea because I saw this Reddit post about I dislike game design that only wastes my time. And this is, I believe, the biggest problem by far in PoE. So we're going to see where this problem originated from and my solution to it and what I actually think about this whole issue. So first off, we have to understand what is GGG's trade philosophy, because someone's philosophy really dictates about why something is the way it is. So Chris Wilson has said that trade is clunky because getting items in trade too easily will devalue them. So what that means is if you don't actually have to whisper 40 people, or you don't have to actually like go through all of these hoops to get the item, then your item won't really have any meaning to you. Well, is that actually true? When I buy a Mage Blood easily in trade, does that devalue the item? No, because I have to spend all of that time farming the currency to buy the item. Like buying an item in trade really fast does not make me devalue the item any less. What devalues the item is if the item is easy to acquire and everyone already has it. So I do not agree with the first part of this trade philosophy. And next up, this leads to players getting bored more easily and lead to a drop in player satisfaction. I could see it in the sense that you can finish builds a lot faster, but you don't really get more bored with the game. What really makes people bored with the game is that they try to go re-roll a new build. They spend hours upon hours trying to buy all the items and all the skill gems, and by the time they get to the skill gems, they're like, this is not worth the trouble. I'm just going to not play the game anymore. And this happens time and time again. A lot of people don't even want to go into crafting because they have to buy all of the essences and fossils and stuff like that. And buying those things in bulk is quite a journey in itself. Now, there is no real player drop satisfaction. I don't really believe that this is a thing. If you make trade easier, I don't think that you will have a drastic drop in terms of players. But I don't really know. Maybe we will have a drastic drop in terms of players if they make the bulk item exchange an auction house. But next up, they have some problems with easy trade. So what is the consequences of easy trade? So they say easy trade reduces the number of times the character improves their items, and this is pretty much because you are able to immediately buy all of your upgrades and your build is already fully completed and you're already done, right? And next up, easy trade means reducing drop rates because there will be too many good items that drop on the ground and you'll be easily able to trade it all to everyone in the game. So that means that because there's such an influx of great items, they have to reduce all of the drop rates. And they also think that easy trade will make the disparity between different players too great. So right now, if easy trade was in the game, people would have even more damage than you. Their gear will be even better. They would be much stronger than you. And lastly, easy trade allows for greater abuse by automation. So that means right now, there's no automation, there's no bots at all. And if they had an auction house system or an easier trade system, then that would lead to price fixing. That would lead to people trying to snipe items, and you would never be able to buy any item you want. So that might be another problem with automation. Now, this was the original trade design, and this is how you actually originally traded in the game. You linked items in game in trade chat. So this is how you did it. You pretty much just spammed in trade chat, and this actually worked pretty well before when the game wasn't so popular, and it was kind of fun. You'd be able to look into trade chat, see someone trying to scam with some insane price, and you also be able to buy your chromatics, your exalts for chaos and stuff like that. And this is still done, as you can see right here. People still use the trade chat system to sell some of their stuff, or like want to trade Timeless Vault emblem for any other than white. And then it slowly devolved into people listing all of their items on the forums. So right here, you can see this is the Path of Exile trade forums, and people list their items, and they have a shop over here. So this guy is selling Mastercraft services. This guy's actually been around for a long, long time. And then there's people just listing all of their items, want to sell items, and they pretty much just dump all their items and click it into the thread. And this became a bigger problem because people started using third-party programs that automatically parse the forms for the items and were able to instantly whisper people. So what this led to was GGG eventually gave in and created their own website due to wanting to not rely on third party. And there was a site called PoE.trade before that a lot more people visited. So if we go look at here, it's actually kind of crazy how it is. But this used to be the #1 site that people actually bought items from. I'm sure a lot of you, if you've played the game in the past, this is how you actually bought items before from this website. And people were pretty reluctant to switch to pathofexile.com/trade, but eventually their API was just too good. They had access to more item filters, so people eventually bit the bullet and swapped over, and their API was faster. Now, they also dealt with the whole trade issue by adding an SSF mode in 2.6.0, and this is because a lot of people don't want to trade, but they don't want to feel like they're at a disadvantage for not trading. So basically, the trade system has been revamped a lot of times before out of necessity and GGG not wanting to rely on third-party systems, but I honestly think the #1 reason for revamping the trade system is to sell premium stash tabs. If you go look here, it's actually pretty hard to actually be able to sell items without upgrading to a premium stash tab. And this is one of the biggest things in me believing them to actually changing the trade system. So now we have to see, why is their philosophy actually flawed. So earlier you saw how they have all of these easy problems with trade. Well, all of these problems that they have with easy trade is not exactly correct. There is still a huge discrepancy in player power even with the current trade system. And I don't think having an easier trade system is going to make people be any stronger than you. People have more player power because they have knowledge about how to craft, they have knowledge about how to farm faster, and they've sometimes just have more time to play the game. So the trade system is not really any deterrent. If anything, people might have more player power because they don't have as much time to waste trading for a bunch of mapping supplies in order to do a juice map. So you can essentially say that someone who is spending all of their time trading for map supplies is actually benefiting from the more convoluted trade system, because a more casual player is never going to be able to buy all of those map supplies if they only play an hour or two a day. And next up, they say that the current trade system prevents automation, but that everyone knows that that is not true. There are still multitudes of bots that try to snipe items and instantly whisper you. If I go into the game, list a 12 passive minion cluster underpriced, there will probably be around 30 to 40 people instantly whispering me trying to buy the item. And all of those people are not running live searches, and all of them are literally running bots. There's also a bunch of bots that literally goes through every single item that is underpriced or not listed and then tries to offer them and lowball them. And this is something that you would see if you ever list any items not really listed with a price in your dump tab or sell tab. And lastly, their trade system also encourages price fixing. Everyone knows right here. So if you go look at right here, you're trying to buy Gilded Divination Scarabs. And what do you think this person is going to do? You think this person is actually going to sell you the Divination Scarabs at 20 chaos rather than 23 chaos like all the other people? What this means is you have to whisper like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 people at a time before you get someone to actually invite you. And you can see here, this guy was actually red because he was price fixing or something, as it said with the better trading PoE. Now, The reason why this exists is because price fixing is actually possible because you can list an item without selling it. And this is not going to be possible if you had an auction house system. So people can go on alternate accounts, list Gilded Divination Scarabs at 20 chaos, 19 chaos, and benefit from this by buying up people listing the scarabs below the price, thinking that the actual price of the scarab is 20 chaos. Now, there are very few items that drop that are worth picking up today. I know here they say that easy trade means reducing drop rates. The amount of rares that people actually pick up off the ground is pretty much zero. Like nowadays, people might pick up more rares off the ground because they're using recombiners with it. But before, almost no one was picking up any rares on the ground like a week or two into the league. So the fact that you can reduce the drop rate, I don't think it's going to matter at all. Most items that are sold are made through crafting at this point in the league. So I don't think that that part of the trade philosophy really matters. And a lot of this stuff is outdated. Like there weren't as many bots as before in the trade site. Items were more likely to be found dropped in the past. And this is just simply not true. Easy trade does not reduce the numbers of times that a character improves their items. What reduces the number of times a character improves their items is how rich they are. You can still use an easy trade system, but you're not going to be able to buy all the items for your build if you're poor. So that's like just a lot of things I saw in the trade manifesto that was just blatantly flawed or false in today's PoE. So with all this complaining, what would actually be the best solution and that preserves some of GGG's original trade manifesto philosophy? What I do think is that there should be an auction house for the bulk item exchange, and that's just my belief. There is nothing more frustrating than going here trying to buy mapping supplies, trying to buy scarabs, trying to buy fossils, trying to buy deli orbs. It just doesn't work out. And having this in an auction house would make it a lot more simple. You will remove people price fixing chaos for exalts or any of the other orbs, and it just creates a much more smooth experience, and it will probably make me want to actually play the game. A lot of times I literally sitting there wondering, do I actually want to play the game and buy all these mapping supplies before I can do my juice maps, or do I just want to sit down and watch TV or something like that? And for items not found in the bulk item exchange, you can make a shop for the players that allows players to go to their hideout even when offline and perform an asynchronous exchange. And this is actually a pretty good solution because I believe you can potentially even monetize this by making like a trading post in your hideout that you can sell MTXs for to decorate or something like that. So this could be a win-win situation. And what this means is that a lot of people are oftentimes offline. So if you can see here, people are, before you're asleep, you can put an item in, and then after you wake up, there could be currency that appears where the item is. Obviously, this is a very fast mock-up that someone did, and it would never work. But this is how trade is done in the Chinese client. They have an item here, and they can put stuff to trade for the item, and this is about how much the person wants, 1 chaos or something, and then they have like a tab where they can dump it into. I'm not really sure exactly how it works. There is a video right here of how this thing works. Now, the big problem with this trade system is that it's really hard to actually search for something because the in-game search parameters are absolutely terrible. So in order for this to work, they would have to overhaul how this interface will look like because this actually just looks terrible. So you can see here, this guy deposits the chaos or something, and I think he's able to take out the item or something. Yeah, but obviously this whole system would be overhauled. But there's so many different ways to make it work. They can even monetize it and make even more money while also improving the quality of life for everyone around raid class. Now, overall, I do think that people dislike game design that waste your time. And this is something that I know just from talking with all my friends and talking to people in my chat when I stream, is that no one enjoys the trade system. There's not anyone I know that enjoys getting whispered by a billion people trying to snipe your items, or trying to whisper 40 people to try to buy exalts for chaos, or trying to whisper like 10 people to buy a 1 to 2 chaos unique. And what this means is that this leads to just more and more people quitting. This leads to more and more people not wanting to try different builds. And there's no worse feeling than when you're mapping and you realize that you're spending longer buying the mapping supplies than actually mapping. And lastly, without the TFT bulk selling and trading site, I don't even know how you would actually play the game. And if GGG wants to remove the reliance on third-party apps and third-party discords, then this would greatly benefit them. Like without this section right here where you can buy deli orbs in bulk, there is zero chance in hell that I will be going through the bulk selling trade exchange trying to buy daily orbs in bulk like that. And it even leads to people buying buyers or fighting buyers to buy items for them and giving them a huge cut. And lastly, I do think it is important for PoE to have an actual competitor that can show what modernized trade can look like. So maybe with Diablo 4, even though it's huge copium, I do think that with another ARPG competitor out there, that a lot of the archaic trade design philosophies might go the way of the wind because people will see that having a better trade doesn't really affect the game in a negative way. It will make people play a lot more. It will make people enjoy their experience more. And I do think that trading is the biggest problem in PoE. Every single league, when I play softcore trade again, I feel that I'm just not having fun after a while because of trading, even though the gameplay or the league is good. But trading is a complete buzz killer. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors, exalts, and encounter less people trying to snipe your items and encounter less people price fixing to me. And see you next time. Bye.